Hello, and thank you for joining us today as we begin our study of the book of Galatians. For most of this year, we have been going through a study of the book of Psalms, and as we finished up that study of Psalms, I thought it'd be a good idea for us to move back into the New Testament and to look at some things concerning some of Paul's letters and Paul's writings. But what I'd like for us to do today as we begin our study of the book of Galatians is instead of jumping straight into the text, I wanted to do an introductory video just to give you some of the logistics of what the book of Galatians is about. And so as we begin today, I want us to look at some background information that I believe will help us to be able to understand what is being discussed, but also that we can reference back to, if necessary, over the course of our studies of the book of Galatians. As we begin, we want to start by looking at when the book of Galatians was written. It was written by the Apostle Paul. It is one of Paul's letters. And the indication is, though there is some discussion and there are some various theories and ideas about it, but the indication seems to be within the text that it was written approximately 20 to 25 years after the crucifixion of Jesus. So we're looking at a time period likely somewhere in the late 50s AD. With that being said, you have Galatians that is going to be one of the earliest writings of the New Testament. It is going to be one of the first books that is going to be written by the Apostle Paul, and it is going to deal with problems of the day, circumstances and situations that are arising in this first century region that are becoming problematic within the church. And there's several different areas and several different ways that those problems are going to be approached by Paul in the 6 chapters of the book of Galatians. But you also need to understand that the book of Galatians is unique in several ways. But one of them is in its audience. Because with most of the rest of the writings of Paul that we have that are a part of the New Testament, they are written to specific individuals, or they are written to congregations or a single congregation, such as the church at Corinth, which receives the books of First and Second Corinthians, or the church in Thessalonica, which receives the letters of First and Second Thessalonians. But Galatians is written to several churches within a particular region. See, Galatia is not a city. Galatia is a region that was found in Asia Minor, as it was known then in the first century, modern day Turkey. And it was a very large region. It was one of the regions through which the Apostle Paul and his companion Barnabas are going to travel on their first missionary journey. And Paul is actually going to revisit this area on his second missionary journey. The indication seems to be that the writing of this letter to these churches in Galatia is going to coincide with a time between those first and second mission trips that the Apostle Paul is going to take. But this is not a letter written to one congregation or to one individual, but rather to a set of churches that the Apostle Paul helped to establish on his first missionary journey. So, what's it about? What is it that Paul is trying to discuss and to accomplish with the writing of this letter? Well, it's all going to boil down to one particular theme or one particular idea, and that is the relationship between Jews and Gentiles in the church. Now, you might be thinking, well, what does that have to do with us? And what does that have to do with me? Because Jews and Gentiles in the church doesn't really seem to be a hot topic or a hot area of discussion in our world today. And you would be right. But I want you to think about some of the backdrop that leads into this, because you have a situation where the first ones to become Christians, the first ones to be followers of Jesus, were Jews. And now the world is learning about Jesus, and the gospel is going out to these various areas of the world where people are not Jews. That's what the word Gentile was used to denote, was someone who was not a Jew. Well, there are some, as you come to the writing of Galatians, who are trying to argue that in order for a Gentile to truly be able to become a Christian, he first has to become a Jew, or he has to become one who follows all of the traditions and the precepts of the Jews. He has to become like a Jew. The Apostle Paul is writing the book of Galatians to inform these Christians and to make sure they understand why that simply is not true, because some of them have started falling under this particular idea. He's going to mention in Galatians chapter 1 verse 6, I'm amazed that you have so quickly moved from those that called you into the grace of Christ unto another gospel, to teaching something else. And it's going to be this doctrine of it requires you to become like this in order to be a Christian. You have to be a Jew first in order to truly be a Christian. You're going to see the arguments that are going to be made, and they're going to be made very heavily, especially in the first 4 chapters of Galatians, where the Apostle Paul is going to talk about what it means to be a Christian. Whether you're from a Jewish background, whether you're from a Gentile background, what it is that it means to be a Christian, what some of his background is, and some of the things that they've had to deal with already when it comes to those relationships, even within the framework of the apostles. So what does this have to do with us? Well, do we still have discussions about who is right and who is wrong to be a Christian? We still have people arguing over various nationalities, or people of different backgrounds, or people of different races, or people of different social statuses, and all of these different things, and who it is that the Bible is for, and who it is that God wants. So all of these things are still being argued about. It's just that the groups about which they're being argued are different. So when it comes to the book of Galatians, what we have here is a short letter. It's only 6 chapters, and none of the chapters are overly lengthy. This short letter by the Apostle Paul that is going to argue something that is truly threatening to divide and to destroy the first century church. And that is, who does God want to be a Christian, and what does it mean? What does it entail? And what relationship do I have with God, depending on what my background is? So these are the things that you see in the book of Galatians. And so as we begin chapter 1 next time, I want you to kind of keep these things in the back of your mind. And we may reference back into this video with some of the other things that we talk about. But recognize that Galatians is unique. But it's also having a conversation that's not unique, because it's a conversation that people are still having about what it means to be a Christian and who it is that God wants to be a Christian, even today. So I hope you'll join us as we go through this study of the book of Galatians. I think it'll be something you find interesting, and hopefully it will be enlightening to you. Thank you so much for watching the video today, and I hope that you'll come back next time as we begin Galatians chapter 1. But until then, have a great day.